Do you feel stuck? Do you feel like you're in this hamster wheel, this sort of cycle where no matter how hard you run, no matter how fast you go, you just feel like you're not getting ahead? I call it the cycle of chaos. And in this video, I'm going to share with you where I was at and why I was continuing to run, but more importantly, what I did to get out of it. This was filmed at a live event, a speaking event that I did with a small group of people, workshop style, but I shared my story of being on that hamster wheel, that cycle of chaos, that $27 moment where I only had $27 in my bank account, but I was able to overcome that and build a national organization. I'm gonna share with you what I did and how some of these things can apply to you no matter what you do in business, no matter what product you sell. So take a listen.
Find people who have been or are where you want to be, right? And that's why you got great leadership here. So I reached out to a gentleman named Dave. And Dave came out to my office to teach me. You know, Dave was twice my age. He built 3 big companies. And he was sort of the right-hand guy on all 3 of these companies. They weren't his companies, but he grew them. And so I invited him to come out and he agreed. And so he came to my office. Now, when I tell you we had no money because my partner had just taken all of it, right? We had this little office, like the length of it was probably the size of this room. And so that was like the main room. And then we had one little office and a bathroom. That's it. And I have this guy who's built these 3 national brands who's agreed to come spend 2 days with me to help me build this new venture. I'm like embarrassed. I'm like, we have no furniture. Like we had chairs like these. And he comes in and I'm like, welcome to our world headquarters. You know, I'm like, here we go. And I'm like, here's these 2 chairs and we sit on the chairs. And I realized really quickly a big problem. And that is that the sun is beating through the windows and we can't even afford blinds. So we are sitting in this chair chasing the sun, right? And I realize about 10 minutes in, we're gonna end up in the bathroom. Like that's where we're headed. And so I'm just like massively embarrassed. Anyone ever been embarrassed? Like what I realized is it's not that we're afraid to start something. We're usually afraid to be seen small. And that's how I felt. I'd come off of a set of success and now I felt small. And so I'm in this room and Dave's talking to me about changing the world. And he asked me a question and I'm gonna ask it to you. He said, Chaz, I want you to finish this sentence. I'll do whatever it takes to be successful. You might wanna write this one down because it's powerful. I'll do whatever it takes to be successful. Just don't ask me to do blank. I'll do whatever it takes to be successful. Just don't ask me to do blank, because that's just not me. Do whatever it takes to be successful. Just don't ask me to do blank. And he asked me to fill that in. Comically or coincidentally, today, standing in front of you, I'll share with you what I said in 2012, what I told him. Just don't ask me to be a public speaker, because that's just not me. True story, 100% true story. I'm still very shy. I grew up very shy, introverted. Coincidentally, I own a networking company. Like you lean into the things that you have to overcome. And I used to like walk to school and hold my mom's leg and like she'd peel me off. And so I said, that's just not me. I'm not going to be a public speaker. And he said something that's really powerful. And you mentioned it in the mark. He said, if you want to make an impact in the world and get your message out there, you have to become a world-class speaker. And then I said, but Dave, I've seen other companies do this before. We could hire somebody. Like we could hire the face of the company. We could hire a great speaker. We could put them out in front of this. And he looked at me with such disgust. And he said these words, why not you? Why not you? And so I ask you, whatever the fear we talked about, I loved what Dr. Shannon was talking about, the fear. Why not you? Why can it not be you? And it should be you. So we're in the middle of this kind of intense conversation and my phone is like buzzing in my pocket, just buzzing. And I look down and I grab my phone and it's my wife and she's texting me and she's like, please call me, please call me, please call me. Like, Dave, could you just 1 minute? I know we're talking about changing the world, but could you just give me a second? I need to now. I'm also in an office where I can't take a call, so I have to step outside because I can't even have a private conversation with. So I step outside and I was like, hey, what's going on? She said, I'm so sorry to bother you. I'm like, you're not bothering me. Like, what's up? So I know you're with Dave, but I'm at the grocery store. See, I don't even have to finish the sentence. You all know. Okay? She's like, I'm at the grocery store. Now, you have to visualize this. We have 3 in diapers. So there's one cart with just boys, right? Just the boys in there. Another cart was like 80% diapers because you have diapers and then you have like nighttime pull-up things and all the things. And she's like, I have all the food up on the thing and the cart's not working. Like I can hear it, And I said, hang on a second. And I go to my phone and I look it up. We have $27 in our account. And I remember, you know how sometimes in the world will give you no, but God gives you a knowing? Like you just know. And I remember that moment, just a thought in my head going, don't ever forget this sight. Like the visual of $27 is still burned and etched in my mind. And I said, I don't know how to tell you this, but we have 27 bucks. And so get what you can for $27 and I'll figure out tomorrow. And she's like, okay, now I want to just really important lesson here. At no point did my wife ever blame me. She had every right to. We were in that position because of me. Yes, my partner stole money, but I wasn't paying attention. I just wasn't watching it close enough. She never blamed me. It's a really important thing. If you have people, partners, whatever, blame just your book, right? I haven't read it, but it doesn't do any good that way, okay? And I hung up the phone and I went to walk back in my office. And then it dawned on me, I have to take Dave to dinner tonight. How do I tell a guy that's helped build like if I named these companies, you'd know them. I can't afford to take you to dinner tonight. And so before I took 2 more steps, I made 1 more phone call and I called my parents. And the humiliation I have to call my parents still gets me. I had to call my parents and ask for money to buy diapers and to take Dave to dinner. Sorry. I don't ever want to forget that moment. I don't ever want to forget that. And then I sat down and Dave's like, all right, buddy, you ready to take over the world? I'm like, no. Because my world is like this right now, right? But I want to share something because that man changed my life. And I hope you have people like this in your life. And if not, the one thing, if you remember anything, because I don't want you to hear and write down everything, I want you to hear what you need to hear today. And the impact that I hope to leave with you today is you walk out this room because you have those people. Number 1, I'll talk about how you celebrate them. And number 2, if you don't have enough of those people, you go find them. You seek them out with intentionality. This is what I'm teaching my boys right now, my daughter. You go seek these people out. Be very intentional about who you associate with. And you go find these people who will change your life. Because he saw in me something I could not yet see in myself. And if you find somebody in your life who sees in you what you may not see yet in yourself. And if you see that already, then be that for someone else. Does that make sense? Be that for someone else. There are people struggling. I get the fortune. In fact, at 2:30, 3 o'clock today, I'm speaking at another event on the other side of the metro. And I can tell you that I know right now, because when I woke up this morning, the prayer in my heart is, I know that there's somebody in that room, like there may be in this room, that needs to hear something. And it may not come from me, but it may be a thought that gets planted in your mind that changes your life forever, okay? And I'll share with you something about an event I went to and we're going to do something at the end here where we saved somebody's life in the event, and it forever changed me. And Dave was that for me. He spoke truth into my heart. He was tough. We got into some, I wouldn't say combative, but we got into some heated arguments at times because he called me up. He didn't call me out, he called me up. He said, you got to be better than that. You got to be better. And that's how you make an impact in the world. So a couple years ago, Dave had just come off a vacation and he called me up and he said, hey, I want to write a book. I was like, good for you. He said, you know, I realized while sitting on the beach in Hawaii, I've made a big impact in this world through business. And I want to write a book about it. And I want to write it with you. So second thing you might want to write down, if your mentor ever calls you and says, I want to write a book with you, what's your answer?
Yes.
Yes. You don't think about it, you just say yes. So then we went on a 2-year journey and we started researching entrepreneurs, specifically business owners, who use the platform of their business to make an impact in the world. Really awesome adventure we went on. And what we found with many of them, I'm going to share with you, by the way, some of those truths that we have. You guys are going to be some of the first people who have ever heard this because the book is still in edit right now. So it's not even published in print yet. So people haven't read the stuff I'm going to share with you. Is that okay if I share that with you today? There's a couple of key truths that we understood. One of that was, and I'm just going to give you a couple of high-level things for that today. One of those was what we call the spirit of impact. I'd like you to understand, why did you get started in the thing you're doing? Probably have a story, right? What was the story, the spirit of impact? Many entrepreneurs that we interviewed and talked to felt called to do the thing they're doing. It's interesting, we interviewed a chiropractor and I said, one of the questions we asked is, how did you get started in what you do? He was in a car wreck and crawled into a chiropractic office because he couldn't stand up. And over about 3 weeks, he went from crawling to standing to moving to walking, and it changed his world forever. And so guess what he ended up doing? Becoming a chiropractor, right? I don't know what the story is for you. Sometimes we accidentally fall into a business too, okay? But one of the things that we found with these entrepreneurs that made an impact in the world is they removed one word from their vocabulary. I'm going to give it to you. Just. I'm just a chiropractor. I'm just an insurance agent. I just sell houses. They removed it because like what Eric was saying, when you have a pain and a problem and you solve that for somebody, you have changed their world. Anyone know what Meniere's disease is? Okay, you all do, right? Yeah, I was recently diagnosed with that. So a couple of months ago, in fact, here's the crazy thing. Now, I'm careful. I know I'm in a room of people that are probably going to like, hey, we should talk. I get it. Okay, this is awesome. Totally get it. My wife has it too. Is that crazy or what? From what I understand, the more I'm learning about that, what are the odds of that? My doctor said 100% because you have it, so who cares? Like, you both have it, so it's 100%. Like, he's like, what does it matter? Right? Yeah. No. Yeah. So exactly. We go to dinner and we sit like opposite side. And it's funny because sometimes we'll forget. And we sit down and we don't even have to say it. And she's like, gets up. I'm like, yep. We just like, okay. So back in November, I started telling her, I'm like, I'm feeling dizzy, like just really weird, like all the time. I didn't really quite. She's like, well, I've had that for a couple of years, and this is maybe what you should do. I tried these exercises. You guys know all this stuff, right? About 2 a.m., I had that dream where I'm falling, except I fell out of bed, and then I'm on all fours, and I'm like, what is happening? Anyone experienced that? Vertigo? Like, it's crazy. Like, the ground didn't feel real, and it's just like, and I'm in the dark, and what my first thought was? I don't want to wake up my wife. So I'm just army crawling to the bathroom. And forgive the visual here but for a second, but because I'm feeling sick, right? So I'm just army crawling to the bathroom. No idea what's happening. Everything's spinning, like my world is just upside down. All the panic is going through my head. And again, I know people deal with lots of severe things, and in severity, this isn't the worst thing ever, but I didn't know what was happening. And so it's scary. It was really scary. I'm like, am I having a heart attack? I'm like, I don't know what's happening. But I don't want to wake my wife. So she's had these attacks too, right? And so I go in the bathroom, and I go in and I shut the door, and I'm like, I'm just like this over the toilet, and I'm like staring at the wall, because if I just could fixate on one thing, it stopped for a moment, right? Just for moments. And I knew it had been hours that I was there, and my knees were killing me. And I remember just thinking, after like 4 or 5 hours, what I realized had been 4 or 5 hours, I realized if I could just get a pillow and a blanket, like put it under my knees, or if I could just get to lay down, I could get relief. I remember just laying over this toilet, like, gosh, I need this. And I'm praying, God, if you can hear me, like, I just need a pillow. I just need a pillow. And I'm gonna share something with you. And this is not a religious thing. It just, for me, I remember being a teenager watching this video at church all the time where there was this scene, and I don't know why it was burned in my mind, but there was this scene where it showed the resurrection of Jesus, and it showed the tomb. And it always struck me as like a teenager because my mom was always telling me to clean my room. And I remember the tomb, and there was a perfectly, it was like a perfectly folded sheet, and this like crescendo of music as the light hit the tomb, and he wasn't there. And I literally felt like, could I have that blanket? Could I have that pillow? Like, could you just send that to me right now? Because I need that. And I know it sounds very trivial. I get it. So I'm there, and after like 6 or 7 hours, I open the door, and there's a pillow and a blanket, I kid you not, sitting on the ground. And I was like, whoa. And I was able to lay down and find relief, and I slept for hours. And I don't remember, like, just whatever. And I got up later, and my wife was there, and she was so great. She texted my assistant and said, he's not coming in, because I, like, no idea. It was like 3 in the afternoon by the time I woke up. So I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to her, and I said, you're never going to believe this. I prayed for this pillow and blanket. She said, yeah, as soon as you got up, I knew what was going on. When I watched you crawl the blanket, I brought a pillow and a blanket there. I'm like, wait, hold up. You mean that thing was there the whole time? And all I had to do was open the door? It's like, I guess. And I remember this lesson. It's like, in life, we sometimes hope and pray for the thing, and all we have to do is open the door. It's there. We just got to open the door. And so I'm in this moment where I have these little babies. I have $27 in my pocket, and I'm praying for help. And it was right in front of me by this man, Dave. And I just needed his help. And here's what we learned. The spirit of impact is like, okay, that's not gonna work. The spirit of impact is this. There's like, and I can't draw, so that's why we had artists do this in the book. So this is you, and then your vision is way out here and the thing you want to accomplish in life, okay? There's a couple of key things that come into this vision and this goal. One of those is your message, right? This is why it's so key. And you're like, yeah, but nope, you're not. What is the thing you want to do? What's the thing you want to impact with people in the world? Right here, right? Your message. And all this is aligned, and the guardrails are the core values you hold dear. These are the core values you hold dear. And we found that people who are impact players, they understood this key. They understood what they were trying to accomplish in life, the impact they wanted to make in the world. They knew what the message was to that, and they were very clear on what their values are. Their values were the guardrails to know who they do business with, how they do business, who they won't do business with, and things they would say no to, okay? That's the spirit of impact, okay? So then we move to, I don't know how many pages I can use, but charge me by the page. Is that how? So the second part of after the spirit of impact is we understood there was a game to impact. The game of impact. Now this is really going to change a perspective here. Anyone seen the movie The Founder? Oh, okay, yeah. So the movie's fine, but there's a point in this movie that is like one of those was like, whoa, time, pause that. Play that again. I was on spring break with my kids, and they're like, we want to watch a movie, Dad, after being at the beach all day. And I'm tired. Like, my skin at the beach. Like, I'm not tan like Eric. And I go to the beach, and it's like red in 5 minutes, and I'm zapped. And my kids are like, let's watch a movie. Yeah, you feel me. Kids are like, let's watch a movie. I'm like, I'm tired. You pick a movie. We watch The Founder. We get to this scene. Mr. Sonnenborn is at the bank Ray Kroc's there trying to get a loan and they tell him no. Yeah, you know this part, right? And he goes, he meets him on the street and he says, come into my office. He looks at his financials. And after he looks at his financials, you remember what he says to him? He says, Ray, you're not in the burger business. You need to be in the real estate business. And all of a sudden, for the moment clicks, he's playing the wrong game. See, if he could own the land that every franchise was built, that was the game he needed to be playing. You already mentioned it, McDonald's doesn't have the best hamburger, but they understood the game they were playing is the real estate game. So it's understanding the game we're playing. Most people in business are playing one game, and that's the outer game, which I'll talk about. They're playing the outer game, which is the professional game. And to win at that, you assess skills, assessment of skills, you acquire new skills, right? And then you have accountability to those. And I'm going to go quick on these. I'm not going to go deep into this, but all of us are here. We're assessing skills. We're going to talk about marketing. We're going to assess those skills. And if we don't acquire that skill set, we can go acquire somebody in our business who can master that, and then we hold them accountable to that. That's the outer game. But here's the thing we discovered. Your success can take you to a level that your personal development will not sustain. I'll say that again. Your success in business can take you to a level your personal development cannot sustain. So unless you grow your personal development side too, you will hit a level, a ceiling, professionally, sales, etc. And you will either self-destruct, you'll self-sabotage, you'll bring in people into your business that will sabotage it, like we did with our partner, because I didn't grow as an individual, as a person. So all these impact players we met, they said, you know, at a certain level, I realized I kept hitting a ceiling. And if I didn't grow the personal side, the internal side is like geometry. I'm just going to draw a bunch of triangles here. If I didn't grow the inner side, this is the outer game. If I didn't also work on the inner game, which was awareness first, this is what I absolutely love and admire about Eric. We've known each other for a few years. High impact players are highly aware. They're highly aware of their own skill sets, their own personal development, how they come across, how they work, where they're deficient and where they need to grow. They're highly aware of that. Okay. And then when they're aware, they'll make an adjustment. It's like, anybody have teenagers? Anybody had teenagers? Yeah. This is like a daily conversation in our house. Let me help you be aware of your attitude. Now you need to adjust it. Okay, right? Yeah. This is no different for us. Right? I think the question was asked previously, and some of you are very quick to like the biggest challenge in your business, and you're like, me, us, right? Like we are, all of us. But if we can grow ourselves as leaders in the personal development side, then we remove that ceiling. So awareness, adjustment, and then we're very aligned because we constantly are repeating this cycle, right? Now, and I'll give you the last one, then I'll bring this to a... So here's the 4 quadrants of an impact player. I taught this recently. You guys are only like the 3rd group to hear this. I taught this recently to a group, and I had a lady in tears. I didn't mean to, right? I've been known to do that sometimes. But, so I'm going to preface because I didn't when I taught it this way. This is about awareness of where we are. There's no good, bad, or wrong. It's just where we are and how we can drive to make an impact, okay? Here's why this is important. On this side of the quadrant, as we go up, this is that outer game of productivity. And then this side, as we go this way, is personal development, okay? In this quadrant, meaning low productivity, low personal development, we call this the potential. This is typically when someone starts a business, they're full of what? Thank you. I did that recently and they're like, said other words. So I'm like, they're full of, and they're like, no. Potential. They're full of potential, right? They're full of potential. We hire people. I'll tell you one of the biggest changes I made this year in my 4 companies is this. I'm no longer hiring for potential, I'm hiring for experience. I'll say that again and think about that. I'm no longer hiring for potential, I'm hiring for experience. This has been a challenge for us. I love people with potential. My heart tells me I love them. The business experience tells me, wow, this is challenged because they have a long personal growth development stage, okay? So this is the potential. They have low influence, low knowledge, low awareness. Typically, this is what's also hard about the potential often. They have low awareness that they need to grow. So I had a young man we hired, I say young, he's like 33. He's still younger than me, so he's young. We hired him and he came from a big company. We loved working with him. When we hired him, full of potential. Here's what we discovered. In the big company he worked at, he was able to hide. So his success was being masked. So then when we got with him and we started a high level of accountability and we started pushing and growing and we'd have conversations, like I'll give you an example. We're in a review and we said, scale of 1 to 10. 10 is like you are crushing your sales job. 1 is we probably should find somebody today. Where do you feel like you're showing up? He's like, I'm a 10. It's not the right answer. I mean, even if you're crushing it, right? It just tells me you don't understand there's room to grow, okay? So that was just kind of as an idea of the potential. Then over here we have, higher personal development, but low productivity or business revenue. And that is what we call the pupil, okay? I was telling Eric before, At some of my events, I have a lot of these people. These are the people that study everything. They've read every book. They know every quote. They watch every YouTube video on how to be, this quadrant right here, you'll probably, these are like a lot of life coaches. And I don't say that I love them. A lot of our clients are life coaches. They know all the answers. They just haven't applied any of it yet. The pupil, the student, they're constantly learning. Nothing wrong with that. We need to learn, right? So when we were interviewing these impact players, we would find where they were at. And then we would have discussions and we'd validate the information based on what they were doing. So we always ask you, where are you in this? Okay. Now I'm going to go to this quadrant. This one's potentially dangerous, and I'll share with you why. This is the producer. This was the one we had a big struggle with. Highly successful, making a lot of money. Like, I give you all the phrases, Everything they touch turns to gold. They just are producing, opening new offices, opening new clinics. Things are just rolling. Here's something we discovered. This one was fascinating. A high level of perceived influence. Perceived influence. And here's what I mean. When we started talking to their people, we realized that the people didn't see them as a massively influential person in their life. They were attached to them because this person was the key to their financial future. Very interesting. But they often didn't say amazing things about the producer. It's really eye-opening. So it doesn't mean that you shouldn't produce. That's not what I'm saying. I get out of this but I'm making a ton of money. Things are great. We have all these amazing people. No, we need to transition to the impact player, the impact player. This is somebody who has a tremendous amount of influence. This was Dave, highly successful, highly aware, highly coachable, also reached out to us. He was very successful, okay? And so he would push me to be up in this realm right here, okay? In fact, remember what I wrote down when I said, I'll do whatever it takes, just don't ask me to do what? Speak. So about the first dozen events I spoke at, guess who was in the audience? Dave. Guess what happened at every break after I was done? Feedback. Feedback's a breakfast of champions. Yes, feedback. Let me role play how that went. No, it's brilliant. This is great. This is a great lesson right here. Jersey's heard me talk about this before. He'll come up. Let's say Eric. You role play this with me, right? So Eric is me. I'm Dave. He'd come up, and normally most people think he'd come up and tell me what I needed to do. This is what he did. Hey Eric, you presented this morning. We could do this for real, by the way.
Yeah.
You presented this morning. How do you think you did?
Okay.
Okay, why do you say that?
Well, we made it less better, and I've done it.
Yeah, why do you think that was?
Probably
The changes? Yeah. Was there anything you think you could do to improve?
Yeah, probably.
Awesome. And then you just stare at me. No, I'm not kidding. And then I learned something because it took me 6 or 8 times. This is great, by the way. He waited. And he's such a patient teacher until I said one time, I said, Dave, what do you think I could do to improve? Oh, glad you asked.
What do you think I can do to improve?
No, yeah. Right? And he'd say, I'm glad you asked. And then here's what I learned over time. What he was teaching me was this. If I go back one page. Awareness. Do you know what he was listening for? Let's say he had a list of 4 or 5 things I could do to improve. He would only tell me if I didn't already say it. He didn't, tag on to it if I said, you know what, I didn't do very well. Why? I wasn't prepared. I could tell you weren't prepared. No, he didn't do that. If I already knew it, he didn't say it. That makes sense? So what he was teaching me was how to assess my own skill set and have an awareness to my personal development. That's what he was teaching me. That's how you become an impact player. Is you teach people how to be the best version of themselves through their productivity and personal development. Yeah, so I just had this conversation yesterday with my business partner. We have an agreement. This is what I'll just share quickly about relational. There's a third part to this, and that's the relational game, which I'm going to share with you in a second. You have to have agreements. So we operate on agreements, not expectation. We do that in our home too. My wife and I have that. So we have agreements, not expectations. Now, I've shared this 24 times, and people always ask me, so are they signed? No, they're not signed agreements. It's not like I put a contract in front of my wife and say, hey, sign this. I'll give you an example. We just have an agreement that the last one out of bed makes the bed. This is a really silly, simple one, right? I love it because I'm an early riser and she loves to sleep. So I love this agreement, okay? But it's just an agreement, last one out of bed. So, because I realized one time in the summertime, one day I was like, I could tell my wife's a little irritated with me. I just had that feeling. And so I was like, is everything all right? She's like, why didn't you make the bed? I was like, I honestly didn't really, I got out of bed. I don't know. I let the dogs out. I just didn't even think about it. And now I'm into my day. And so then we just had this agreement, the last one out of bed. Well, literally, we have that verbal understanding. This is a couple years ago. Within 3 days, I come back from the gym and the bed's not made and she's gone. Now, my original response would be like, all right, well, hold up. You just called me out. No. What I realized is, I wonder what happened because we have an agreement. And again, I'm not like, well, no, that's not it at all. But my shift changed. I was like, I bet something happened this morning. Sure enough, 2 minutes later, she walks in the door. I'm like, hey, crazy morning. She's like, oh my gosh, Jack left this, Tate left that. I had to run lunch to this. And it just changed. This is a really not the best example, but it's an example of how you do this. And so in our company, we have these agreements. And one of them with my business partner is if there's something that needs to be said, we don't wait. Like, look, we're just going to be open and we're not going to judge. And I think there's a whole like TikTok thing where we're going to open, we're not going to judge or whatever. Like that's how we are. We just don't judge. Like, let's have this agreement and have it out right now. Okay. And so this is key in how you deal with it. Okay. Before I go to the next, anything else? Okay. This is the last. This is the path of impact. This is a really high level for a 300-page book. All right, more triangles. Okay. In there, I'll talk about the inner, the outer game, and the relational game. If I could tell you one thing, that you're one relationship away from changing your future. Dave was that for me, and I've had multiple. My wife is that for me. Race to those relationships. Run to them. Find them. Those relationships change everything. And I don't, this is not a pat on the back, but I just want to demonstrate this. You called me not that long ago and said, hey, I'm looking for an MC. And I recommended Jersey. Why? Because he's MC'd our event, right? So you're one relationship, one connection to change all of those things. You're looking for great people on your team. Find a great relationship that can send you lots of great people. Okay. I don't ever post an ad for anybody in our company. I go to my network and I ask them and they send them every time. Okay. So relational is this. First, you reach out and you see, are we compatible, right? Are we compatible? This isn't just like dating relationship. These are even people at work that you're going to hire, you're going to grow, partners, employees. Are we compatible? Does this make sense? I'll tell you how we judge that right out of the gate, our core values. We asked impact players this, I'll ask you. Would you rather hire to the resume, the professional experience of that, or their personal development, how they are as character? So why are all of our interviews structured around resumes? I mean, but like generally, right? We ask all the same questions. They know the question you're gonna ask and they're prepped for it. So we throw curveballs. We constantly throw curveballs. I wanna see how they show up as character and individuals. And I wanna see if they match our core value. And that's it. Like that's the whole interview. I already assume based on the resume, they have the experience and I'm gonna talk through that. But, okay, so compatible. Then do we have a connection? Think about this with like strategic partners, right? Are we compatible? Do we have a connection? Then can we have collaboration? And then the highest level is celebration. I'm gonna touch on this for a second because the higher level you go up with this is significance, right? The highest level person in my life is referred to as my significant other. Why? Because I can celebrate her when she's not in the room. One of the things I learned the best from Dave was he celebrated me at times I didn't even know until somebody would tell me, hey, Dave was at this event, he talked about you. Really? Yep. He was just doting on you the whole time. I was like, that's amazing. I mean, he's my mentor. He taught me that you celebrate others, okay? So here's what I want to ask you with your teams. Are you celebrating? Celebrate them constantly. Yeah, but what if they leave? They might leave. They might. Makes it harder, but they might leave. But celebrate them, okay? I'm gonna tell you why this is so important. A couple years ago, I came home from a business trip. And the agreement with my kids is when I came home, this is when they were still a little younger and they loved when I came home. Especially my older boys now, like walk by the, sup? Bruh. You know, it's like, I have 3 boys playing high school varsity football this year. It's pretty cool, but they're all men now, right? Like every day at dinner, it's not like, how was your day? Like, God, I repped 250 on the bench today. I'm like, oh, gosh, we're all like, yeah. And they're like looking at each other going, how much protein's on your plate? And I'm like, my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Some of you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So when I would come home, the agreement was I have to check in with mom before. Like, I love you guys, high five it, but I'm going to go check in with mom before. So sometimes it'd be like, you know, down the hallway, see mom, check in. Okay, cool. Now kids tell me what happened, what all this stuff, right? Well, one time I come home and my wife says, I have to tell you what happened. I was like, oh, because, you know, those conversations, like somebody broke a door or something like that. She said, no, I had the funniest conversation. She said, Tate, one of our twins, was 8 years old at the time. He said, Mom, when I grow up, I want to change my name. She's like, what's wrong with Tate? She's like, I just want to change my name when I grow up. She's like, well, sweetie, why do you want to change your name? And he goes, well, you changed your name to Mom. Like first off, that's the mindset of an 8-year-old, right? Like you change it. And I was like, this kid's going to be brilliant. Okay. You change your name to Mom. And she said, sweetie, okay, well, what do you want to change your name to? When I grow up, my name's going to be Dave. So my wife that night posted on social media that exchange. And I have a screenshot of this, to which Dave said, when I grow up, I'm changing my name to Tate. Right? When we gave Dave the Person of Influence Award, guess who presented it to Dave? Tate. 9 years old in a suit, brought it out, gave it to Dave. You celebrate relationships. Back in 2021, I was sitting at my computer and a thought came to my mind. See, Dave got COVID and was in the hospital, 73 years old. A thought came to my mind, send Dave a message. So I sent Dave a text. Hey buddy, hope you're doing all right. He said, man, have I got a story to tell you? When I get out, let's have lunch. Because back in then, his wife couldn't even come in to see him. Nobody could come see him. Crazy, right? Like she had COVID, was over it, but they wouldn't let her come see him. We're not gonna get into that conversation, but okay. I already went too far, I got it. So I sent him a text. He said, boy, have I got a story to tell. So then I sent a reply. Dave, I just want you to know how much I love you. And he sent me a really nice reply back. For 14 years, I've coached my boys in football. That night, I took them to football and I coached them. And I walked in the door after practice and I got a text message and it said, have you seen Dave's Facebook post? No, go read it now. So of course I drop everything, I open Facebook. Dave's final post. See, what no one knew, I was one of 2 people that knew that he was fighting cancer. The very medication that was keeping him alive meant COVID was killing him. And so he chose to take palliative care and say goodbye. The very day I texted him. I share that because we started this book in 2018. I couldn't touch this book for 2 years till a mentor looked me in the eyes and said, you want his legacy to live on? Finish the book. So I just want to share this. I did this in Nashville. This was life-changing for me. I've done this a ton of times. I could tell you guys all kinds of stories, but I want to just share this one. So I was in Nashville. And I spoke with another keynote speaker, and he came right after me, and he asked me if, hey, I know we've shared stages together, but I don't really know you. Could we go to dinner? I was like, absolutely. We had just done this activity, and we're eating dinner, and this woman, I could see her like wanting to get our attention. You know, she's like, I don't want to interrupt, and she's kind of doing the dance, and I was like, come here. She's like, yeah, sorry to interrupt. Because like, I'm sure people tell you all the time that activity has changed their life, but I want to tell you, you just saved a life. Can I tell you what happened? I'm like, yeah, tell me what happened. She said, I struggle with mental health, and a lot of my friends know that. I've been institutionalized once because I tried to commit suicide. And so I sent that text to the first person that came to my mind. And then I turned the phone over and I set it down to listen to the next speaker. But the friend I sent it to thought that was a goodbye message. And so for the next 2 hours, while the next speaker, he was trying to find her. Oh no, this story gets way better. He's trying to find her. So when it goes to session, goes to break for dinner, she flips over the phone and sees like all these missed calls, all these texts from other people too. So she calls him and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're okay. And so she explains what happened, right? And he said, now the conversation flips. He says, why did you text me? And she said, I don't know. The speaker asked the first person that comes to our mind to text. And I thought of you. Even though we haven't talked for like a year, I just thought of you. And he said, I was in the process of taking my life. And I went to turn my phone off and your text came through. And I just spent the last 2.5 hours trying to find you. And so now she was able to get him help and make sure he was okay that night because of a text message. And so I want to ask you, if you put this activity on your calendar once a week, you will make bigger impact in this world than you ever thought you could possible. My commitment and ask of you is that you will commit to doing something like this every single week. See, your business isn't just a business. It is something that will make an impact in this world and leave a legacy for people because you touch patients, employees, their families, other colleagues. Do you realize how many people you interact with all the time? I'll demonstrate it one last way. Let me ask you this. How many of you in this room, and actually I'll do it by a show of hands, I won't make you stand. How many of you know your parents' names, where they were born and where they grew up? You know that about your parents. Okay, keep them up. How many of you can say the same for both sets of grandparents? Wow, awesome. Usually that divides half the room. Now, all your grandparents or great-grandparents, you know name, where they grew up, and their story. Look at that. One person in this room. Yeah. Okay, yeah. But do you know how accessible that information is today than any other time in history? 2 generations ago, and we don't even know their name. So my question to you, will you live in such a way and make such an impact in this world that in 2 generations from now, they'll even know you existed? You guys have been awesome. Thank you.